Scorpio, this message isn't just a reading. It's a sacred revelation. God is calling you to leave something behind, and the reason might shake you, but it will also set you free. Something deep within you already knows. The ground you're standing on no longer feels like home. The faces you once trusted feel strangely distant. The future you once dreamed of now looks like a faded photograph. And while the world may not see it, your soul is restless. You've outgrown the space you're in, not just physically, but energetically, spiritually, even karmically. Let me ask you this: have you felt like you're no longer aligned with your surroundings? Have you quietly whispered, "There has to be more than this"? You're not imagining things. You're not being dramatic. You're not broken. You are being summoned. What you're experiencing isn't confusion, it's the vibration of a divine departure. And you didn't land here by coincidence. This video found you at a cosmic intersection, a moment written into your soul's contract before you were ever born. God is moving. And if you're listening, you already feel it in your body. The butterflies. The tension in your chest. The sleepless nights. The dreams of distant cities. These aren't random. This is the beginning of your release. The planetary alignments are clear. Uranus is activating your fourth house, your roots, your home, your family story, demanding revolution. Meanwhile, Jupiter is opening your ninth house, your spiritual path, your higher calling, your freedom. That's not astrology. That's a cosmic evacuation order. Tarot echoes the same call. The Fool has entered your spread, not as a warning, but as a promise. The Six of Swords rise, urging you to cross the waters of change. And the Star confirms that your prayers haven't just been heard, they've been scheduled. And deeper still, in the book of life, your name is being turned to a new chapter. Scorpio, this isn't the end of something safe. It's the beginning of something sacred. I know it's not easy to leave. You're loyal. You hold on. But what if the space you're clinging to is no longer blessing you? What if God has already cleared the next room and you're standing at the door, frozen in fear? The truth is, you were never meant to stay. You were meant to evolve. And your soul knows this. This message is not here to convince you. It's here to confirm what your spirit has already whispered. You are being moved. Not punished. Not forgotten. But transplanted into a place where your light can grow without limits. So if your heart is pounding as you hear this, that's not emotion. That's recognition. Stay with me, because we're about to explore the why, the how, and the signs to watch for. We'll uncover the doors that are opening in your dreams, your finances, and your divine relationships. And yes, we will align your energy with the sacred numbers and colors that are guiding you right now. But first, tell me, have you felt this shift stirring beneath the surface of your life? Have you been dreaming of a place you've never visited but somehow already miss? Comment below right now and declare it: I'm ready to step into the life God has written for me. Because the moment you do, something shifts. Let me take a moment to say this: thank you. Your presence here is no small thing. Every like, every comment, every subscription pulls you deeper into the spiritual family we're building here at Miracle of the Sign. Your support is sacred and your soul is not alone. And Scorpio, I mean this from the depths of my knowing, you'll want to stay with me until the very last minute of today's message. Because what the universe is about to show you is nothing short of divine orchestration. Shall we begin? Scorpio, if the opening message stirred something inside you, an ache you couldn't quite name, a pulse of readiness in your chest, what you're about to hear will help you understand why. When the ground beneath your feet begins to feel unfamiliar, when the people around you no longer reflect the person you're becoming, that's not chaos. That's a sacred signal. Right now, two powerful planetary forces are shaping your reality in ways you may not have understood until this moment. Uranus, the planet of radical change and divine disruption, is stirring the deepest foundations of your life by activating your fourth house, your home, your roots, your emotional ancestry. When Uranus touches this part of your chart, it doesn't ask for permission. It shifts, cracks, and redefines what home means to you. The discomfort you've been feeling in your environment isn't just circumstantial. It's cosmic. It's your soul's way of saying, you've outgrown this soil. The container that once nurtured you is now too tight for who you're becoming. At the same time, Jupiter, the planet of expansion and divine timing, is awakening your ninth house. This is the realm of higher truth, spiritual path, long journeys, and sacred purpose. Jupiter doesn't just open doors, it creates entirely new hallways. It reminds you that your calling doesn't reside in comfort zones. It waits on the far edge of your familiar world. You may feel a strange pull to explore new places, or a growing restlessness that no longer fits inside your current story. That's not escapism. That's the whisper of divine assignment. Astrologically, these two planets are not working in opposition theory in spiritual choreography. One is removing the weight of your past. The other is drawing you toward the light of your purpose. And you, Scorpio, are standing at the threshold. But astrology alone is never the full picture. The tarot confirms the spiritual truth buried in the stars. The fool appears eyes open, feet ready, heart exposed, stepping into a new chapter, guided not by certainty but by trust. He is not naive. He is chosen. The Six of Swords carries you across waters that were once too deep, reminding you that leaving behind a place, a version of you, or even a dream, is not failure. It is sacred movement. And the star rises, quiet and luminous, to say that your quietest prayers were not only heard, they were woven into divine timing. You are not alone in this transition. The universe has been preparing this moment for you. In the language of numerology, the numbers surrounding you now are sacred codes. 7 calls you inward into silence, reflection, and the wisdom of retreat. 9 marks the end of a chapter, the closing of karmic loops, and the readiness to step beyond what was. You may have seen 777 on receipts, 1111 on clocks, or dreamed of places that don't exist on any map. But what if those weren't random? What if they were spiritual timestamps guiding you toward this very video, toward this very awakening? And in the sacred rhythm of Scripture, the voice of divine reassurance speaks clearly, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." This is not poetic comfort. It is holy instruction. When everything feels like it's falling apart, you must remember, it may actually be falling into place. So if you've been sensing the unraveling of what once felt solid, your home, your relationships, even your identity, pause and breathe. You are not losing your way. You are being guided out of confinement and into alignment. And if your spirit has been whispering yes while your mind screams no, trust the whisper. That is where destiny begins. If these signs have been appearing in your life, these numbers, these dreams, these moments of inner knowing, leave a comment and share what you've been feeling. I want to witness it with you. Your confirmation is not just for this channel, it's a declaration to the universe that you're ready. Ready to step beyond what you've known. Ready to follow the voice that's calling you forward. Ready to leave because God is calling. And your destiny is waiting. Scorpio, when dreams begin to blur the line between memory and prophecy, something extraordinary is unfolding beneath the surface. You may have found yourself waking up with fragments of cities you've never visited still echoing behind your eyelids. You may have dreamed of rooms filled with soft golden light, of unfamiliar hallways that somehow felt like home, or of journeys that began not with logic, but with longing. These are not the dreams of distraction. These are the dreams of direction. Dreams are the language your soul uses when your waking mind is too busy or too guarded to listen. And right now, your soul is speaking with unusual clarity. The recurring images, the emotional textures, the sense that you're meant to be somewhere else, that's not restlessness. That's resonance. It's the part of you that already remembers where you're going, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. In spiritual psychology, this is often described as soul memory, a blueprint embedded deep within your energy field that activates when you're nearing a divinely timed shift. For Scorpio, whose essence is rooted in rebirth, death, and deep transformation, this activation comes with profound emotional intensity. Within the next 21 days, you may start noticing what I call coded confirmations, those subtle but powerful signs that seem insignificant until you start connecting the dots. It could be a stranger casually mentioning a city that's been lingering in your thoughts. It could be an unexpected email inviting you to consider a job or opportunity far from where you are now. It might even come in the form of a dream so vivid you feel it all day, as if your body went there while you slept. These are not accidents. These are invitations. What makes this even more urgent is that the window you're entering isn't indefinite. Astrologically, cosmic portals, especially ones involving Uranus and Jupiter, stay open forever. They're aligned for impact, not comfort. And if you let fear hold you still too long, you may miss the exact alignment your soul has been preparing for across lifetimes. You don't have to act recklessly. But you do have to be willing to recognize when it's time to say yes to what you once thought you weren't ready for. In moments like this, when logic trembles and instinct rises, it's important to remember that readiness is rarely a feeling. It's a decision. And it's often born in silence, in the quiet space where you write down a dream that made your heart race, or reread a message that felt bigger than coincidence. Keeping a dream journal, even for the next 3 weeks, could reveal a pattern that your conscious mind can't yet perceive. The human brain forgets dreams quickly, but the soul doesn't. It whispers them back to you again and again until you're finally ready to listen. This isn't about escapism. It's about alignment. It's about recognizing that the place you've called home may have done its job. But it's no longer your destination. And as uncomfortable as that truth might feel, there's also peace in it. Because it means you're not stuck, you're being stirred. It means there's more waiting for you, not because you're missing something, but because you're growing into it. Whether your signs come through dreams, messages, or moments that feel oddly specific, know this: the universe doesn't speak in pressure, it speaks in patterns. And when those patterns repeat themselves in love, in loss, in longing, they aren't asking for your panic. They're asking for your permission. So if something inside you already knows what I'm saying is true, trust that. And if you're starting to notice these 21-day signs already, I invite you to share one of them in the comments. Name it. Claim it. When you speak your signs out loud, you activate them more fully. And that declaration could be the very spark that turns a quiet whisper into a visible door. You're not late. You're right on time. And the invitation is already on the table. All that's left is your answer. Scorpio, if you've been feeling weighed down by a sadness you can't name, or a weariness that no amount of rest can fix, I want you to pause and breathe into this truth. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are simply no longer in the place that resonates with who you are becoming. And when your environment no longer matches your frequency, your body will tell you long before your mind catches up. That fatigue, that tightness in your chest, the headaches that come out of nowhere, they are your soul's way of saying, this place no longer fits. When you feel trapped in cycles of anxiety, depression, or an overwhelming sense of disconnection, the first instinct is often to blame yourself. You may have even convinced yourself that you're just being too sensitive or too emotional. But sensitivity is not a flaw, it's an advanced guidance system. You're not overreacting. You're receiving. And what you're receiving is a message from the deepest part of your being. It's time to move. Not to escape, but to be set free. Healing isn't always about staying still and processing. Sometimes, healing is movement. Sometimes, it's a decision to step out of what's safe in order to reclaim what's sacred. And while your logical mind may want evidence or clarity before you leap, this moment in your journey asks for something much deeper. It asks for faith, not the kind that's rooted in proof, but the kind that's rooted in alignment. Faith, in this case, is choosing to believe there's more waiting for you before it arrives. It's trusting that your soul's longing is not a burden but a compass. And it's knowing that staying where you are out of fear is not the same as staying because it nurtures you. Change, especially when it comes from the soul level, can feel like loss at first. But the truth is, what you're about to gain will far outweigh what you're leaving behind. When you say yes to the pull of transformation, you're not abandoning your life, you're re-expanding into it. You're choosing to stop carrying what no longer carries you. And that's not weakness. That's courage in its purest form. There are ways to support this shift energetically, too. Color, frequency, and even numbers carry powerful vibrations that can help stabilize your transition. Light blue, for instance, calms the nervous system and soothes anxious thoughts. When you surround yourself with this tone, perhaps in your clothing, your room, or even your screen, it sends a subtle message to your body: you are safe to relax. Indigo helps activate intuition. It reminds you to listen to your inner wisdom instead of external noise. And pearl white holds the vibration of angelic presence, of unseen support surrounding you even when you feel most alone. Numbers, too, have meaning beyond math. The number 9 appears when something is ending, not as a punishment, but as preparation. 21 signals a divine window, a portal of transformation that asks for awareness and response. And 33 is one of the most powerful spiritual codes, indicating that your soul's mission is being activated and supported. You can anchor these vibrations in your daily life in simple but intentional ways. Write these numbers on sticky notes. Place them where you work, where you rest, where you pray. Use the colors in your home or your clothing to remind yourself that you're moving with purpose. These aren't just aesthetics. They're energetic declarations. Scorpio, healing doesn't always look like stillness. Sometimes, it looks like motion. Sometimes, it looks like leaving the version of yourself who survived in silence and stepping into the version that is ready to live out loud. If your heart feels heavy, it's not because you're failing, it's because you're carrying a future that hasn't been born yet. Let this be the moment you allow yourself to breathe again, to believe again, and to begin again. Scorpio, if you've been carrying the belief that stepping into the unknown will cost you more than you can afford, let me offer a new perspective, one rooted in both energetic truth and lived experience. The fear around money, especially during seasons of transition, often isn't about the numbers in your bank account. It's about what those numbers represent: safety, control, familiarity. But what if the abundance you're waiting for isn't meant to show up before the move, but because of it? When we look at the Ace of Pentacles in the tarot, we're not just seeing a symbol of financial opportunity. We're witnessing a promise, one that says when you say yes to your next chapter, the universe responds with provision. Not out of pity, but out of alignment. This card doesn't appear when you're still clinging to the past. It appears the moment you take a step forward, even if your knees are shaking. The seed of prosperity is already planted, but it won't sprout in old soil. It requires you to relocate your energy, your intention, and your willingness to receive. For Scorpio, a sign so often associated with transformation, the greatest wealth doesn't come from holding on. It comes from releasing what no longer holds life. And this includes old financial beliefs. The idea that abundance is only for the lucky. That you must overwork to earn stability. Or that you need a clear map before you take your first step. But in spiritual economics, and yes, even in practical terms, money flows most powerfully when it has somewhere meaningful to go. Your move, your shift, your soul's expansion is that destination. During transitions, it's common to fixate on what might be lost: the consistent paycheck, the familiar expenses, the illusion of predictability. But what about what can be gained? We are in a digital age where work is no longer bound by geography. Remote roles, freelance opportunities, digital businesses, or even passive income streams are all possibilities you may have overlooked while sitting still. And sometimes, financial support comes from completely unexpected places: a connection you didn't realize believed in you, a refund you forgot was due, or an open door that appears simply because your energy is aligned with action, not hesitation. The truth is, prosperity doesn't arrive just because you want it. It arrives when you become the version of you who's aligned with it. That version of you doesn't wait in fear. They move in faith. They make space by letting go of what no longer reflects their worth. And they trust that as they make space, something new must fill it. Now, from a self-help standpoint, it's important to ground this energy. There's wisdom in preparation, but not paralysis. Start by evaluating what in your current spending is rooted in the old version of you: subscriptions, habits, routines that no longer serve your highest path. Reallocate that energy. Every dollar is an intention. When you channel your resources toward what expands you: travel, education, relocation, healing, you signal to the universe, I'm ready for more. And here's the energetic truth many people miss: money doesn't come because you need it. It comes because you're vibrating at the frequency of enoughness. Scarcity repels. Sufficiency attracts. So instead of asking, "How can I afford this?" shift the question to, "How can I align with what's already mine?" So I invite you to pause and reflect. Have you ever delayed a soul-led decision because of money? Did that delay bring peace, or did it prolong your restlessness? Share that story below. Let others know they're not alone in that fear, and perhaps discover they're not alone in that breakthrough either. Scorpio, you are not too late, too broke, or too unsure to begin again. You are simply being asked to trust that what you need will rise to meet you the moment you choose the path that was always yours. The abundance is not waiting somewhere out there. It's waiting on the other side of your yes. Scorpio, as you step closer to the edge of your new beginning, there's one truth I want you to hold tightly: the people meant for you will never truly leave you. Distance cannot sever what is spiritually bonded. Those who are part of your soul's fabric, those whose presence supports your evolution, will remain connected across time, space, and transformation. In fact, some bonds grow stronger through distance, not weaker. You may be surprised at how certain relationships, once weighed down by routine or codependence, actually flourish when given space to breathe. When you leave a version of your life that no longer fits, you're not abandoning people, you're simply allowing every connection to find its truest form. But just as your own spirit is being summoned to evolve, not everyone around you is ready for that shift. And that's okay. Resistance from loved ones often has less to do with your choice and more to do with their own fears. When you decide to move, change, or follow a calling that isn't fully understood, it mirrors something back to others: their own longing, their own stuckness, their own unhealed dreams. Sometimes the resistance is subtle, passive comments, doubts disguised as concern. Sometimes it's louder, coming from those closest to you. But know this, Scorpio, their fear is not your burden to carry. Their hesitance does not need to become your hesitation. Your task is not to convince anyone of your calling. Your task is to trust that calling. To walk with grace even if you walk alone for a while. Because you won't be alone for long. Just as you are being prepared for this next chapter, so are the people who are meant to meet you in it. Somewhere, someone is praying for the very connection you're about to offer. A mentor who speaks your soul's language. A partner who sees through your layers and loves the raw truth of you. A community that vibrates in harmony with your values and vision. These people aren't random theory, part of the divine choreography of your expansion. They're already being pulled toward you, just as you're being pulled toward them. What's even more profound is this: the transformation you're going through isn't just for you. It's for them, too. The healing you claim, the risks you take, the faith you embody, it creates a ripple that invites others into their own awakening. That is the silent power of walking your path unapologetically. You become the evidence that it's possible to leave what's familiar and still be loved. To release the past and still be whole. To step into the unknown and be met with miracles. So if you felt guilt about who you might be leaving behind, let me remind you, this journey is not about leaving people. It's about finding your people. Those who truly see you. Those who call you forward, not hold you back. Those who feel like home, not like a cage. This, Scorpio, is not the end of your story, it's the awakening of your role in a larger story you were always meant to live. You are not walking away from connection. You are walking toward deeper, truer connection than you've ever known. And the beautiful part? They're walking toward you, too. Now breathe that in. Let it land. And if your soul feels this truth ringing through your chest, share it below. Write, I am ready to meet those who are already waiting for me. Say it not just for yourself, but for someone else who needs the courage to believe the same. You are not leaving to lose. You are leaving to become. And everything your heart has been aching for? It's already on its way. Keep walking. They'll find you soon. Scorpio, you were not called to walk away from everything, you were called to walk back home to your highest self. This journey you're about to take, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual, is not a path of loss. It is a path of reclamation. You are not being asked to let go to be emptied. You're being invited to release what no longer resonates, so that you can finally receive everything that's always been meant for you. You are not leaving behind your life. You are stepping into the one you were destined to live. This is your reminder that no matter how uncertain the next step may feel, you hold the power to choose. You can stay where it's safe or familiar, or you can walk through the door that's quietly been opening for you all this time. Which would feel more true to your soul, another cycle of waiting, or finally answering the calling that's been whispering through your dreams? When you do choose to step forward truly, courageously, you don't just meet a new environment. You meet a new version of yourself. The one who was always waiting on the other side of fear. With that version comes a new energy, a new frequency, a new life force. You begin to magnetize aligned community, financial abundance, emotional healing, and even the restoration of your physical well-being. You begin to realize that the real reward is not out there, it's within, unlocked only when you say yes to the journey. So I ask you now, gently but clearly, can you feel it? That flutter in your chest? That deep hum in your spirit? That quiet knowing that this message was meant for you? What would happen if you stopped running from your inner truth and started trusting it instead? Let this be your sacred permission to move. You do not owe anyone an explanation for choosing your soul's path. You only owe it to yourself to listen, to follow, and to become who you truly are. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Now, I would love to hear from you. In the comments, share the words that anchor you to this moment. Write, I'm ready to follow my destiny, or God is calling me to leave, or I trust the journey of my soul. Your voice matters. Your decision matters. And by claiming it, you inspire someone else to do the same. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for trusting Miracle of the Sign with your sacred time and energy. Every like, every comment, every subscription brings us closer as a spiritual family, and allows me to keep sharing these transformational messages with you. Your presence here is never taken for granted. So if this video spoke to something deep inside you, please like this message to affirm the resonance. Subscribe so you don't miss the divine instructions that are coming next. And share this video with another Scorpio, because sometimes, what feels like a whisper to you is the very trumpet someone else has been praying for. Scorpio, let your faith lead the way. Write the next chapter with intention. And never look back once your soul has been set free.